Hello, Diasporan families. Welcome to the third in our mini-series on parenting in a time of uncertainty, where we are exploring the impact of current changes across the global north with regards to immigration policies and how that may be impacting on our families. We started out in episode 1 talking about these policies and identifying that these policies, these changes impact on us as adults, that it creates fear. In episode 2, we delved deeper into what this fear was. We named the fear. What are we really afraid of? And how is that fear impacting on our children? What are the ways in which children demonstrate that fear that may not be verbalized? Today, we're moving on to how to address that fear. So we're moving from the what to the how. How do we talk to our children about what's happening? Honestly, carefully, and in ways that help them feel safe. In episode 2, we said that naming the fear and talking to children, we had to do those in ways that were age appropriate. And that's the starting point. First, let's explore, what do children really need from us at this time? In order to be able to talk to our children about the fear and know how to allay those fears in the conversations that we have, we need to first step back and understand what research tells us. We already alluded to this in episode 2. Children don't need to know all the details. They don't need all the policy explanations around the ILR and the rest, especially taking into consideration what ages those children are. And I don't think our children need us to predict the future. I think most of them can tell we probably don't know. What they need is security and safety, and understanding that we are with them together in this. So, our focus as we talk to them is honesty without overwhelming them. That's first. We can be honest, but do ensure that we do not overwhelm them. Secondly, we want to emotionally validate what they're feeling. That my parents understand me. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm not in trouble. And thirdly, we want to reassure them about our connection with them and our care for them, but also the care of those around them, not just in our family. So, when we want to start having this conversation, let's bear at the back of our mind that our goal is not certainty, because it is not within our gift to give our children certainty much as we would like to. Our instinct is to protect them and tell them it is okay. But we cannot give them that certainty. So sometimes when we give them honesty in this conversation, it means that we may not be able to provide what our instinct tells us to do. But remember, we must be honest without being overwhelming. Our goal is, first of all, to ensure our children are safe and to build trust. Especially because they are in an environment in which a lot of the things around them are not trustworthy, are shaking. They want to be sure that home is solid, that they can find trust at home. So we don't want to lie to them either. We don't want to tell them things that are not true. We don't want to make promises that we cannot keep, that are not in our power to keep. Having identified those key elements of how we do this, the next thing I would say is we do not talk to all our children the same. We know that children are at different ages, and therefore they have different understanding of what is going on and also different capacities for what they can take in. So for our younger children, I would say perhaps possibly our children between the ages of 3 and 7 who do know what's happening but not too much of it. For these younger children, what research tells us is that they think in concrete terms. They notice things like tone, routine, and emotional shifts far more than the specificities of what's in the news and all of that. So what these children are likely to be feeling is that something is different. They may not be able to name it, but they can tell, just like we said in episode 2. They can see that my parents seem worried. They're not as relaxed as they once used to be. I can hear adults when they come together talk in ways that is not safe. They may not understand the why, but they know that it is not safe. So, how do we talk to these young children, these really precious young children of ours? In order not to overwhelm them, we need to keep it short. We need to keep it grounded. We need to keep it rational. And some of the ways in which we may do this, for instance, is, say, there's a lot of talk going on at the moment. Grown-ups are talking about these changes, and it can feel a little scary. There's a lot going out there. There are demonstrations, and I know it feels scary. So, identify what that fear is with them in very simplistic terms. And then say, I know how you may be feeling about this, that you may not be feeling very safe. But, provide your arms around them. Say, but right now you are safe. I am here with you. In this moment, I am here with you. If you're worried about anything, come and talk to me about it. So first, we are identifying the fear for them, with them. Second, we are making ourselves available to them as their safe space. And then thirdly, we are telling them that there is an open door. They can always come and talk to us. Children need to know that they can come and explore with you further. And especially for children of this younger age, they just want to know little bits at a time, not the whole big thing. So they need to know that it is safe to come back later if they have any other questions or concerns. What are some of the things that you must avoid with these younger children? The really scary stuff. Things like explanations of deportation, enforcement, arrest. They don't need to know this because they don't fully understand it. So the details of that are not for these young ones to know. If they see something on the TV and they specifically mention it, by all means, explore that with them, but only in age-appropriate ways that is within their capacity and capability to understand. Children of this age next needs a lot of reassurance, but not in a way that is escalated for them. If we keep reassuring them again and again, if we keep repeating it, what that tells our children is that our words are not aligning with our actions. So talk to them and let it go. Don't repeat it incessantly, because that could raise concerns with them, because they know that it is not normal for my parents, mom, dad, uncle, auntie, to be saying these things again and again to me. The third thing that we must avoid is that we mustn't dismiss the fears. So if your child comes to you to say, Mom, I saw some people outside demonstrating and they were saying this, I saw that. I say, oh, don't mind them, leave it alone. Because they may go away, but the fear remains with them. Shushing them, dismissing them is not the way to go. Ensure that you're always able to have the conversation with them. And then create routines around them in words, in daily things that you do that provide safety and security. Because sometimes routine, certainty helps to create safety for children. So you may say things like, I'll pick you up from school every day. Yeah? Keep dinner time the same. We'll eat dinner together. I'll take care of you. In a consistent manner, sound those messages to them in a way that is consistent and create an environment of safety for them in the home, even if outside doesn't feel so safe. Now, for our slightly older children, between the ages of, say, 8 to 12, they're kind of not quite toddlers, they're slightly older, so they are more aware. They hear things at school. They also begin to read things online from friends. They catch the news a bit more. They also have a better sense of what justice and injustice means, what fairness and unfairness is, what certainty and uncertainty is. So Whereas with our younger ones, we're wrapping them with a little bit more cotton wool. We want to shield them a little bit, even as we address the fear, even as we're honest with them. With these ones, we have to be a little bit more on, forthcoming. Because at this age, they are not just sensing what is happening, they know what is happening. And they could be saying, could this happen to us? Something happened to that child at school yesterday. The other day, I saw this on the social media. We saw somebody being arrested. We understood that somebody was shot dead. They're big things. And they could be thinking, could this happen to us? Their sense of fairness and of belonging may also lead them to ask questions like, why are we being treated differently? What is wrong about us? And if we're not careful, it will make them feel less than. It will make them feel like they're different. It will make them feel like they do not belong. And because, of course, at this age, children know that we don't always tell them everything. They could be wondering, are my parents telling me everything? When I ask, do I really understand the full extent of how this may or may not be impacting us? That awareness is there for this group of children. So how do we talk to them? As usual, there's never a road that we follow. We're just following the principles. As I said, we can be more direct with these children, but still more measured. We might say things, for instance, like, again, what have you heard? These are the changes that are happening. The immigration rules, there are some changes here that could impact on certain families. If there are ways in which you can tell them about your own family without making them feel unafraid, by all means do so. But not, again, in ways that are scary. We don't need to say, oh, I could get arrested. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to see you tomorrow. None of those sorts of talk, because that's not helpful for our children. As I said, this group of children understand fairness and unfairness, and that will be part of the question that they'll be dealing with. Is it fair? Why do I have to be this way? Why do we have to be treated in this way? So again, explore issues around fairness and unfairness with them. And be candid. Yes, sometimes things are unfair because of how people look. Things can be unfair because of where people come from. Some of us can ground this in faith, for instance. We can talk about the world belonging to everybody, even though adults, people may make different rules. And just because people make different rules does not mean that the world does not belong to all of us. And there may be some anger. Sometimes that anger could be even against you, the parent. Why have you brought us here? We didn't need to come here if this is how it's meant to be. It could be anger at somebody else. It could be anger at the system, at the rules. Explore that anger with them. Let them know that it's okay to feel scared or angry. Validate that, but then help them refocus. Anchor them in what is really important for you at this time. So, for instance, you could say that right now, everything else is happening. We can't do anything about that, But we are a family. And our job as a family is to stay connected and to take care of each other. If you hear anything that worries you, come, let's talk about it. But let's look after one another. And let's trust one another in this space. Again, with this group, avoid things like oversharing. And don't make children feel responsible for safety. We can tell them to stay safe if they're around experiences that may make them feel unsafe. But it is not their responsibility that they are unsafe. Don't put that burden on them. And again, don't dismiss their fear. Don't just say, oh, don't worry about it, it's okay. Because they can tell, they understand a little bit better. They know it is not just that easy. So be a bit more forthcoming with them. So, again, that understanding that they are in a family. We could say things like, you don't have to deal with this alone. We are all in this together. I'm here. Yes, I am not telling you everything because you don't need to know everything, but I will tell you what you need to know. I understand how you're feeling. I know you are angry and your anger makes sense. I feel angry too sometimes, but this is how we can deal with that anger. So those are some of the ways in which we can talk to children in that age group. And then finally, there are the much older children, our teenagers, from the ages of 13 and above. Now, if you're a parent of a teenager, we all already know teenagers know way too much. They follow the news on social media. Some of them are politically aware and are involved in political conversations. They're involved in classes where some of these issues are being dealt with, are being discussed. So we need to be ensure that when we're talking to our teenagers, we demonstrate that we respect their knowledge and understanding, and that we can be honest with them. What they need from us, what our teenagers need from us, is respect and honesty. And because they understand a lot more, because they're engaging in social spaces more, because they also understand the wider context of the implications if things don't quite go right, their feelings could be a lot more stronger and intense and different from the younger children that we dealt with earlier. So our teenagers will definitely be feeling some form of anger, or either, again, internally, externally, but they will be feeling things like anger. They'll be feeling fear for their future, because again, they are in that space where they begin to think about what their future would be. Teenagers could also become cynical and withdrawn, because remember, perhaps when we had that talk when we were moving, we made them promises, we told them things, we talked to them about the societies that we're going into, and that may not be what their experience is now in the current environment. So they may become cynical, they may become withdrawn. And this is also the age where some teenagers, especially if they've got younger ones, may feel a pressure in themselves to protect younger siblings or their parents. So when we're talking to our older children, our teenagers, the really, really important thing is that we invite a conversation, not lectures. We can't just tell them this or that, because our children at this age are reasoning with us. That is where the honesty and the respect comes in. So again, we might want to say things like, yes, there are policies right now that make life for immigrant families like ours a little bit more difficult. If for instance, a young teenager is already has settled status, they could be angry that this is their country, but they are made to feel different. They are being otherized. Talk to them about that. Explain to them that you understand that feeling, that you feel it too sometimes, that you understand that they may be discouraged about the environment. But in framing all of that for our teenagers, the important thing is to know what they've heard, what they're feeling, so that we know how to land with them. What have you heard? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? How are you feeling about it? How is it landing with you? And then we discuss with them honestly, but without collapsing. We don't make them feel that the world is crashing around them, because again, we are their family. We are their place of safety. So with our teenagers, we can acknowledge, I don't have all the answers, but I'm committed to walking through them with you and with this family, so that we'll thrive regardless of what happens. Things may change for us, but they may not. So let's enjoy the moment we're in rather than worry about the future. That way, you're not telling them that there is not something to worry about, but you're telling them to enjoy the moment rather than worry about something that may not happen, whilst acknowledging that, yes, there is uncertainty in the air. Sometimes, of course, we say let's stay positive, and a positive attitude is important. But in that discussion, let it be nuanced. Let's not tell them to stay positive in the sense that we're saying the outcome is going to be this way, because they understand that it may not be. And if they do believe that it will be this way and it isn't, they lose our trust. So we stay positive in a nuanced way. And remember, we said that children of this age begin to take responsibility for how their family feels. And one of the jobs that we need to do in our conversation with them is to take that responsibility from them. That they are not responsible for emotionally supporting us, the parents. We support each other as a family. And that we understand that while they may be bigger, they're still young persons. And we are there for them. Acknowledging them and what they think and what they believe also really matters. So, yeah, your voice matters. Let me hear what you think. You don't have to do this alone. We are all facing this together. So, we've kind of walked through a few ways in which we can talk to children in an age-appropriate manner, understanding what the context is for each of these groups of children, understanding that, of course, all of our individual children are different. My 7-year-old may be a lot more mature than a slightly older child, or less mature than a younger child. So it just varies. So these are all frameworks for us to work with, not exact science. But it just gives us some understanding of the different ways in which our children may be feeling and how we can work with them, how we can talk with them about what is happening. Now, the thing most of us fear as parents, when children ask us those questions that we don't have answers to, difficult questions, and sometimes it's like they're made for it. The one thing that you cannot respond to, they ask you, even outside of this difficult environment. Children ask us, oh my God, how am I going to answer that? I think in this moment it is okay to say, that's a really good question, acknowledge it, but be honest, I don't have an answer to that at this moment. I will think about it, I will look into it. I promise you I won't ignore it. Once I have an answer, I'll come back to you. But let's build trust by being honest, rather than trying to provide certainty when we cannot guarantee that certainty. So, parents, Diasporan family, uncles, aunties, brothers, sisters, we've kind of come to the end of our episode for today. But just before we go, here are some things for us to reflect on as we explore talking to our children. What does my child already know? What do they need emotionally, not informationally? What words feel true and steady? How can I make them know that as a family, regardless of what happens, we will work through this together? Our children don't need us to be perfect. They just need to know that we are present and that we are willing. In the next episode, we're going to explore some of these issues a bit further. And we're going to talk about how we listen to the fears of our children, sometimes without talking. How to stay in the moment with them. To stay open, be seen, without feeling the need to fix. Because as parents, we feel that responsibility, don't we? We want to make the world safe for our children, want to fix the problems they have. But in these current times, some of that is outside of our control. How do we stay in that moment without feeling that need, that pressure to fix things for our children? Thank you, Diasporan parents, for showing up for your children in these challenging times, and for showing up for yourself, because you matter too. I hope some of what we've discussed today resonates with you. Please let us know what you think. What are some of the things that you've tried in our comment section? Share your own experiences. What has worked for you, so that other Diasporan moms and dads can also learn from that. If you know anyone for whom you think these podcast episodes will be beneficial, please do share with them. If you haven't already done so, please like, subscribe, and share. And until next time, please stay safe, hug your young ones close, and continue to thrive.